Okay, everybody who might be listening, welcome to another podcast from the MFD Writing Center. My name is Jason. I'm a writing consultant here at the Writing Center. And I'm going to be found on the first floor of the library, the Academic Center for Excellence. But it's not me that you want to pay attention to in this episode. We are going to do some focus, shine the light on some of our other tutors that work in the Academic Center for Excellence. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by letting some of these tutors introduce themselves, starting with...
Hey, my name is Jordan. I am a math and science tutor at the Tutoring Center.
My name is Bowdy. I'm also a math and science tutor.
I'm Ariel. I'm a history tutor.
I'm Dalia, and I'm a Spanish tutor.
My name is Jose, and I'm the accounting tutor.
All right, so we have a pretty interesting little... subject diversity field here that we're dealing with. So just to kind of start off with, what are some ideas you guys have for planning? What would you say about the process of planning? These are some strategies we want the students to kind of go forward with, something for them to keep in mind, because I know right now, I'm sure, as you all know, as students, as current students, what it's like to kind of feel the pressure of schoolwork, work, personal lives. So what are some strategies you guys might have for the student who might be needing some assistance in planning? Anybody have any experience specifically?
Well, first thing I would say is make sure you know like your due dates. Make sure you know when your assignments are due. Make sure you know when your tests are, so you can plan accordingly. So you're not cramming each day, and you can tackle it bit by bit. It just helps out and helps you with the assignment and test.
Yeah, so just kind of like digestible, so to speak, chunks of time and organization in that regard. Like time management, I guess is a good way to put it. Okay. Does anybody else have any other kind of insight into that?
I think it's important to read the syllabus because professors are human too, and sometimes they make mistakes. And you also want to not be caught off guard by some assignment they forgot to mention in class. So you read it, and if you have any questions, you ask about it.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I know I've been the recipient of some mercy because it was pointed out by one of the other students in one of my classes when I was an undergraduate that, but it says here this is what's supposed to be due on this date, not today or tomorrow that you're talking about. It was a couple more days out. So you never know. So yeah, keeping on top of those dates and keeping on top of, I don't want to say keep on top of the professor about his or her timeline, but letting them know, reminding them would also be pretty helpful. Is there anything else that you guys want to kind of throw in there that off the top of your head? Anything?
I want to say just keep everything organized for your class, whether it's in a folder, in a binder, just keep everything together for your class.
Something within easy reach, whether it's digital or hard copy, something storable. Okay, cool. What else? I would say one of the next big things would be the concept of reviewing material. What are some of your best ideas as far as the reviewing of material? What would you say?
I would say one thing I like to do is I would like to read whatever chapter I'm going over for that class before the lecture.
Okay.
And the thing for me is I don't read to understand. I read to just see the material, get used to it. So when I go to class, I know what they're going to talk about. I might not understand everything, but I know what to expect.
So it's like a visual, understanding. It's not visual understanding, but a visual identification, affirmation of, this is not completely...
Preview.
Yeah, it's not completely foreign to me, so I know what I'm going to be going into.
Exactly.
That I can definitely see how that would help.
And if you read it before class, if there's going to be something that's like really confusing or maybe the easier stuff you understand, so you know what to ask about in class.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So having a forehand... beforehand kind of sense of, I don't understand what this means, or just have, I call it like tip of the brain. They have that phrase, tip of the tongue, where you're like, I can't get that word out, that phrase. tip of the brain as kind of like, I know I just read it, or I know we talked about it last time in class. So if you can, like you said, have something there. Anybody else? I'm seeing some looks around the room.
Just so we're clear, when you read the textbook, make sure you take notes too. Even though for me it's like I just read to see the material, I still take notes, especially for vocab. I'll write the vocab down and just write the definition.
Some kind of active engagement with the material, just to kind of
because if you're just reading, then you'll just go to sleep.
I think we've all suffered that in some time or another. Okay, are there any other ideas about review? Anything else you guys want to share? Okay, so now we're kind of talking a little bit about the planning. Pre-class was one part of what Jordan kind of framed the discussion. What about after class? What happens when you walk out? When the students walk out and their brains are hurting from if they hadn't prepared adequately, if they have not time managed, and they are completely caught off guard, what are some things that can happen after the class that would help them maybe grab a hold of some sanity on the way out of class?
I think that looking over your notes after class, as soon as you can after class, maybe annotating or rewriting your notes would be helpful.
Okay.
Also, reviewing your friend's notes as well, because they might have caught something that you didn't catch. And if your friend has horrible writing, then that's just up to you to decipher or just have a discussion with your friends about what happened in class. That helps me a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny, you mentioned that you're a history tutor, correct?
Yes.
I know when I was going through those reading intensive courses, such as history or even literature, things like that, I did have to have somebody to talk to bounce off ideas, because I had heard some things one way, and I had other classmates kind of not correct me, but say, well, I think they said this. I think they want us to have an understanding of this material, not the way you're looking at it. So having somebody to kind of ground your perspective and give you some feedback / insight into material, because I think we've all experienced at some point, we're sitting in class and I think we're fine. We think we're fine, and then our mind starts to wander. And then we catch back up. Well, we don't catch back up. We start listening again, and we lose track of where we are. So, like you said, discussion, post-class discussion, something like that can definitely be a benefit. What are some other ideas that you guys want to throw out there?
Another thing that I do for a lot of my classes, I'll rewrite my notes, but I'll put it in my own lingo, my own diction, so I can better understand it, and I'll organize them. Like I always tell my the people I tutor to kind of make like what I call study guides or a chart that just has everything organized, but like more to how I can understand it. Breaks everything down into how I can digest it and read it and understand it.
Something that's easy, like as you said, digest. Something that's easy to comprehend on the fly, or more importantly, when you have fatigue. And rewriting something in your own voice, in your own words, like you said, your own lingo. I know that's always helped me, even when and I'm not a very math-oriented person, but that helped me kind of remind myself through the study process of, I have to do this function instead of that function, or do this in order, so on. I completely agree with that process.
I think after the teachers already or professors covered the subject, it's easier to look at the textbook again and be like, I know what this means now, and connect it to what's written in your notes, and that way you know like what key points in the chapter they actually want you to know. Yeah. And what's really just kind of not as important.
I got you.
And the only last thing I would think of is, like, I know sometimes when I'm trying to do homework, at first I look at it and I have no idea what I'm doing. And that might be because I'm stressed or I'm busy and I'm trying to get through it. But one thing, like, if that happens, I would say to just take a break. Because I know this happened recently where I looked at homework and I had no idea. And I looked at it for like an hour. And then I stopped something. I came back later that day and I was done within 5 minutes after that.
Really?
Because once I took a second look at it, I knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, so that overload, that overwhelming kind of looking into the abyss, and the abyss looked back at you.
Yeah. Like if that happens, just step back, take a break, take a breath.
Do something different.
Eat something.
Yeah, that's another thing. I know there's a tendency when studying and trying to,
don't forget to eat.
Yes, hydrate and nutrition, guys. That's key. And sleep. Yeah, because sometimes we get into these cram modes or these beast modes where we think we're just plow through it and we're going to be heroes. They're going to throw us a parade or something. But in reality, science tells us that's not a good thing to do. So yeah, those are definitely some ideas to remind yourself basic nutritional needs. How about the test day is coming, okay? Whether it's a week out, whether it's 2 days out, whether it's 5 hours before, what are some ideas for preparation for exams? And do you have an ideal timeline to kind of get students on track before,
Well, what I do, it kind of connects with what I said that I do after class, how I make review sheets and how I make charts and try to just organize my notes. I'll just go through them again and make sure I know, not just memorize, but understand what's going on. And especially for charts, the reason I like charts so much is because they're easy to rewrite. And I know if I can rewrite the chart by memory and understand what's going on, then that really helps me for the exam.
Okay.
Also, since history is a very information and vocab packed subject,
yeah,
I've learned that having color coded vocabulary cards are a lifesaver.
Right.
Because once you have the color with the vocab that you need to learn, it's way easier for you to remember.
Yes.
So vocabulary cards are my go-to to study for history.
Yeah, I've found that flashcards of some kind have always saved me. And like you said, it's those kind of history or maybe certain sciences or literature I can attest to. Like you said, detail-heavy, narrative-driven information, and especially I'm not sure, here how the history classes are such, the examinations. But when I had to do my survey course, it was all writing. And I had, for my final, we were allowed 2 3x5 cards full of any type of information that we wanted. And all that was a lot of microprint that I created. I hand wrote. And what I wound up doing was something similar. I had to remind myself of some key points and some key ideas so that I could just go crazy with it. Luckily, it was a survey class, and luckily I got an A in it. But like you said, some content-heavy subject matter or subjects can be very tricky to kind of prepare for.
Off the note cards that you said you do, I just want to warn some people because I've seen some of my friends, we can have like note cards or bring a paper in for a test, and they'll do that. They'll write like microprint on their cheat sheet.
Oh.
But then when they do that,
I feel like that overwhelms you when you're taking the test.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much information,
Yes.
you don't know what you need.
yeah, and they focus on that alone, so they're not focused on the material. They're focused on, let me just write everything on this, and this is going to get me through the test.
Right.
And that's not going to help you when you have to look at that every single question.
Right, exactly. So how much time does that chew up? Where you could be applying, onto the actual test, trying to get through it instead of, wait, what did I write? Or what does that mean? Or wait, how do I use this information? So yeah, that can backfire. That kind of preparation.
The crazy part is when they make their cheat sheets, when they write it like hand by hand, they
Yeah.
start memorizing
Exactly.
the stuff they put on their cheat sheet.
Oh, I know exactly. 'Cause
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, I don't need this. This is like useless information. Like, I should have wrote something else.
Yeah. Right, and they're like, oh, why didn't I write down this other, the preamble to the Constitution on this one or something like that, instead of the narrative of Paul Revere or something like that. I'm just completely pulling from history, but whatever. What else? Now, I'm going to throw something out there. Coming back to, we said some basic fundamental needs that we need to serve, right? Cognitively, we need to have breaks, right? Try to reduce as much stress prior if possible. Talked about nutrition, sleep. What about like other things like maybe when you do have time away, if you give yourself breaks, how about something like exercise? I've always found that a way to kind of expend some nervous energy, whether it's 5 minutes walking around a room or something. No? Anybody? No? Crickets?
Well, I found that, I exercise like 2 hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely useful, especially since you spend the whole day thinking about a
Right.
different subject matter, and at the end of the day when I work out, I don't think at all. I just you just exert
gives
your
you a
energy
break.
physically, and that way it gives you a break. It's a stress reliever. And I think at the end of the day though, whether you want to build a timeline or do all these study tips, it's best for both what you produce as far as either tests or essays, and as far as it's less stress on you too.
Okay.
So it can be beneficial both for what you produce and your state of mind.
Yeah, state of mind, keeping that as on point as possible, I think is the key for all of this. And really out there listening, all of you people out there, however 3 or 4 of you who might show up to this podcast, we're just kind of putting this out there as a means to kind of give you some insight from people who are who, in my case, I've already gone through this. I'll probably go through it again when I go to grad school someday. But these are also your peers. These are peer tutors. These are people who know exactly what you've either already gone through or you're going through right this minute. They may be going through it themselves right this minute in preparation. So some very exasperated sighs around the room. But so this is just basically a brief little informational podcast so that people can get through those difficult moments. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this episode up, guys?
Just don't cram.
Yeah.
Which is different from reviewing the night before. It's different, but don't cram.
Actually, really quickly, can you expound on what the difference is? Because I'm sure somebody's going to go, what's the semantical difference between reviewing the night before versus
when
cramming?
you're cramming, you're trying to learn everything like the night before or like the morning of if you have an afternoon class.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't work. Your brain gets overwhelmed, and then you end up staying up late because you know you're not learning,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't get enough sleep, and then you skip breakfast because you're running late. It's not good. But reviewing, it means that you've been like going over your notes every day, and you kind of know what's going on. You know what's on the test. So that night, you just have to like do the kind of like a brief overview, and then make sure you work on what you really don't know.
Okay,
As
good.
opposed to trying to learn everything in one night.
I think that's a fantastic distinction because I've been guilty of cramming. And while we do at this university have an event called the Cram Jam, nomenclature aside, we do not advocate cramming.
But it happens.
But it happens. However, the optimal situations be darned. So really quickly review, planning. Get yourself a plan going. Review, maybe get some study partners or just on your own, find a strategy to review. After class, ask yourself some questions, ask professors some questions. And lastly, when you go into a pre-examination type of mode, make sure you understand and know what's going to be tested on. And make sure that you have a good strategy for review, not cramming, but review. And also nutrition and good sleep patterns are very, very important as well. That closes out this episode of, I don't know what we're going to call this. We're just going to call this 4 Things You Should Know, I guess. I'm Jason from the Writing Center, and goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
Good luck.
Good luck on your day.
Take it easy.
Sleep.
P.S. All you listeners, don't forget to visit our peer tutors as well as any writing consultants at the Writing Center. We're found on the first floor of the library in the Academic Center for Excellence. So please come by and see us. Thanks a lot.